Welcome back, Nerd Squad. My name is Rory Destroya, and this is Top 10 Nerd. If there's something that sets a villain up for popular success, it is a good origin story. Freak accidents, illnesses, and terrible home lives have brought us some crazy entertaining stories. However, not all villains out there have fared so well. Their stories seem a bit like somebody fell asleep at the creative wheel. So let's take a look at the top 10 dumbest supervillain origins. In the number 10 spot, we have Walrus. There was no secret that Walrus was a comedic villain for Spider-Man, so he expectedly has a suitable origin story. Like many other villains and superheroes, Hubert Carpenter had his body augmented by his uncle with experimental technology. This tech was used to gift him with the strength, speed, and agility of a walrus, because that is the animal to strive toward when you're channeling your inner destructive criminal. Coming in at number 9 is Lady Stiltman. Yet another Spider-Man villain, Lady Stiltman not only has a ridiculous name, but also a ridiculous origin story. And in terms of story, we mean really none at all. What caused this villainess to don the ridiculous armor? Simply in admiration of the original Stiltman, because he was certainly a villain to look up to of all the villains out there. Turns out Callie Ryan, the face behind the armor, was the victim of a hoax sex scandal video, so that's interesting. What better way to hide from a sex scandal than with metal legs and a sucky career in crime? Next at number 8 we got Catwoman. Selena Kyle, who has played both supervillain and superhero in the world of Batman, has a very well developed origin story. It includes a life of abuse and running away that culminate into her becoming criminal. However, early on in Batman number 62, Catwoman is found to be a flight attendant who suffers from amnesia and whose cat-inspired costuming comes because, well, her dad owned a pet store and she knew a lot about cats. Seriously? Luckily, no. This was just something she made up to avoid her past life of crime. That was a close one though. In the number 7 spot is Rainbow Raider. An enemy to the Flash, Roy G. Bivolo had dreams of being an artist, but he was in fact colorblind. As a kid, he made all sorts of paintings that he thought were quite nice, but other people started telling him the colors were clashing. You can only imagine the horrible trauma he went through being told his art was clashing. So when his optometrist father created a set of goggles for him that allowed him to emit different colored light, you just know revenge was on the mind. So learn from this and don't criticize budding artists, at least not to their face. They may attack you with subpar weapons of colorful destruction. Coming in at number 6 we got Gambler. This villain of Green Lantern's story isn't just lame, it is very convoluted and random. Stephen Sharp III was doomed to be a gambler from the start, because genetics. His girlfriend wanted him to prove this wouldn't happen, but before he could marry her, she ran off with another guy who was also a big gambler. So much for that. Stephen wanted to change himself on that day, so conveniently right then an armored truck crashed nearby. This meant that he could steal lots of money and join the circus, as most suddenly rich folk do, which led to a life of crime. Don't ask, we don't know. Next up at number 5 is the Fiddler. So the Fiddler, who is an enemy of the Flash, started out as a regular thief named Isaac Bowen. He was caught and thrown in jail in India, and there he meets a fakir who uses the power of music to control snakes. Lots of those in prison, let me tell ya. From this guy, he learns the mystical art of Indian music. Out of debris in his cell, he magically makes a playable violin, and proceeds to break out of prison using the power of song. He also murders his teacher, just because. This one is unique, I'll give it that. Next up at number 4 we have the Kangaroo. Frank Oliver, another Spidey villain on this list, grew up studying the kangaroos of Australia. He took studying to the extreme apparently. He not only watched them, he lived amongst them and ate them too. For the full experience, of course. What happens because of this is that he developed leaping abilities and decided to throw himself into the boxing ring with his super jumping abilities. They do say you are what you eat. In the number 3 spot is Lex Luthor. The famous and well-established Superman villain is not immune to a bit of a bad writing blip. His origin story was revealed in Adventure Comics number 271. Turns out he and Superboy were buds in their youth. Luthor accidentally set fire to his own lab, which Superboy put out with his super breath, but also spilled chemicals everywhere. Not only did this kill the artificial life form Luthor was cultivating, it also killed his hair. The man is a megalomaniac psychopath because he became bald. You could say it puts Superman in a bit of a hairy situation. Coming in at number 2 we have the Top. As a child, Flash villain Roscoe Dillon was obsessed with spinning tops. So obsessed that he kinda wanted to be one. He taught himself how to spin really fast. He spun so fast he was able to deflect bullets, and somehow the spinning also improved his intelligence, unlike most people who will collapse after even trying. So yeah, That's all there is to him. Man likes tops, man spins around like top, man becomes the top. Creativity at its finest. And finally, in the number 1 spot we have CODPIECE. Poor little CODPIECE, and we do mean little. Apparently insecure about the size of his, shall we say, piece, this guy was super sensitive to comments that he misinterpreted and eventually had enough. He developed a suit that turned his junk into a weapon trunk. Let's see who's laughing now at his weapon of mass destruction. Nothing funny at all about a groin cannon. So those are the top 10 dumbest supervillain origins. Let me know in the comments section down below who has the worst story out there. My name is Rory Destroya, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another nerdy list.